When you're dealing with imps, angels, humans, and demons, it's safe to say you're going to have a wide range of power levels. Some characters seem like they're barely able to win a fight, while others rely on their skills and weapons proficiencies, and of course, you have the ones who just rely on raw strength and power. But out of all of these, who's the most powerful person down in Vivziepop's version of Hell? I'm Kristijan with WickedBinge, and this is Helluva Boss Characters, Weak to Powerful. With this list, we're going to be sticking to main and secondary characters for the most part, with a few fan favorites thrown in for good measure. Additionally, at the time of writing this, we've only gotten 2 episodes of Season 2, so any characters that show up after will not be included on this list. But hey, let us know if you ever want us to do an update on this ranking. As always, we're going to be starting with the weakest characters before working our way up to the most powerful and the most dangerous. First up on our ranking, the one we consider to be the weakest Helluva Boss character so far is the teen girl owlet, Octavia. Being the young heiress of the Goetia family, Octavia isn't exactly the type of character who would be getting into fights with people like the other characters of this show. We haven't even really seen her throw so much as a punch. As such, it's hard to really judge how powerful she currently is, and it's just as hard to judge how powerful she could potentially become in the future. She doesn't seem all too strong nor skilled in fighting, and she doesn't seem to have the same powers as her father, Stolas. What's more, when she tries to use Stolas' grimoire to see the stars, while she's able to activate it, she struggles with accurately using it to get what she wants.
I spent all day looking for a place where I can see some dumb meteor shower.
While she may prove to become more powerful in the future, we can't really put her any higher up for right now. Next up, we have Agents 1 and 2 of Dorks. Frankly, being 2 humans in a world secretly filled with demons already puts these 2 at a disadvantage. While they're implied to be the top agents at Dorks, the agency itself is thought to be filled with mostly kooks anyway, so not much of a flex as far as other characters are concerned. They do have plenty of gadgets and weapons at their disposal that they're likely to know how to use, but their only real win is when they manage to briefly corner Imp, getting video footage of them and Stolas. When it comes to fighting, they nor their agents can hardly stand a chance against our favorite team of Imp assassins, and the fact that they're using melee weapons primarily from the Edo period of Japan instead of actual firearms for the sake of looking cool further speaks to their incompetence.
Why are we only using weapons from Japan?
We're willing to cut them a bit of leeway, however, as if they were fighting anyone other than literal demons, they'd probably stand a better chance and would cause a lot more damage. Following them is another duo, inventing partners and eternal besties, Loopty-Goopty and Lyle Lipton. While many may consider them to be goofy one-off characters, and yeah, they pretty much are, we still have to give them some credit in that their gadgets and intelligence combined are able to allow them to generally be a step above the rest, both in life and death. Because they're so smart and talented with inventing, they're able to arm themselves with destructive weapons pretty much from the moment they arrive in Hell, and their wealth and status also give them a bit of a power boost, albeit in a societal way. But much like with characters like Octavia, we still haven't really seen them in an all-out fight, and don't know how they do against characters we have seen throw down. We can't say that these 2 are all talk, and hey, sometimes brain can beat brawn, but when you're up against bullets and supernatural abilities, that can only get you so far. Next on our list are the only so-called good characters of the show, the Cherubs, Cletus, Colin, and Keeney. Much like the team at Imp and their supernatural abilities, the Cherubs' heavenly nature allows them to take a lot of damage while still being able to walk it off, as we see in their commercial. So right off the bat, they've got some pretty good defense. It also helps that they have the power of flight, giving them both the defensive and offensive advantage. Despite being a form of angel, they still wield crossbows armed with golden arrows that act as an effective long-range weapon, essentially being their version of the guns that Imp uses. But as surprisingly willing as these guys are to put up a fight, their small size and lack of any additional attack powers still keep them on the weaker side of things. From cherubs to pop stars, next up is Varosika Mayday. Although not one of the top demons of Hell, Varosika manages to still have a high status thanks to both her musical talents and her looks. This isn't too much of a shock since she is a succubus after all, and as such she has almost siren-esque abilities with her songs when she sings to humans, making them fall for her immediately. Her backup dancers and singers, who are also incubuses and succubuses, can also help with this. And as for the targets who get too clingy, she has her Hellhound bodyguard on standby. But while she's popular and fairly powerful in her own right, this seems to be the only power she has. Sure, it's nothing to sneeze at and can give her an advantage in certain situations, but we feel she would still struggle somewhat in a fight where she would have to rely more on physical skills. That being said, she at the very least has a height advantage over characters like Blitz, which can still help with intimidation. Entering the top half of our list, we're ranking Martha and her murder family. It's almost funny just how far apart the show's humans are in terms of power, and again, it all seems to come down to weaponry. Though she sometimes comes off as sweet and Southern Belle-like, Martha is monstrous to her core, with her family being just as bad as her, along with being just as skilled when it comes to killing.
Well, I'll just shoot you in your smartass!
Arming herself with shotguns, Martha has a killer aim, allowing her to actually injure and corner most of the members of imp. Her husband, Ralphie, is actually able to go toe-to-toe with Millie and even knocks her out, while her kids are able to tie up Moxie with little to no trouble at all. Ultimately, though, what brings their ranking down some is that they are still human, so it only takes one good shot, as Moxie eventually demonstrates, to take them down for good. Following them is, funnily enough, Martha's killer himself, Moxie. When it comes to Moxie's skill and power level, there's actually a lot to praise. Perhaps only second to Blitz, Moxie's great with guns and has proven himself to have extremely good aim even when the situation's dire, even being able to take out several Dorks agents at once, all while covering for Blitz. Moxie also knows how to be quick on his feet and, for the most part, manages to be the most level-headed person in his team.
Well, you better stay jazzed.
Unfortunately, Moxie also has quite a few weaknesses. While other imps his size are still able to put up a physical fight, Moxie really struggles in this department and is really lacking in muscle, causing him to easily get overwhelmed when he's without his guns, as we see in his fight against Stryker when he has to deal with Frostika's gang, or even when humans manage to get a hold of him. Moxie's also quick to panic at times, causing him to make dumb or foolish mistakes, and has the most moral code out of the 4 imp members, which can also cause him to struggle with certain actions. Really, if it weren't for his amazing aim and his demon durability, he probably would have been ranked a bit lower. Next on our list, we have Stolas' ex, Stella. One thing Stella seems to make clear from the moment we meet her is that while she may come off as somewhat ladylike and sophisticated, she has no qualms with getting her hands dirty. Much like a bird of prey, Stella seems to be the type to go directly for the throat whenever possible, even strangling one of her family's servants as a child. Like any other owl demon, she has claws and a super sharp beak, and despite a lack of any visual muscle, she's still strong enough to toss around imps and large potted plants like they weigh nothing to her. Additionally, much like Verosika, she has plenty of status and wealth as well, so if she ever struggles or is lacking in her own power, she'll still have the means to hire someone to fight for her, like she does with hiring the snake assassin, Stryker.
I don't care who you have to go through, make it happen!
We still had to take a couple points away for her reliance on others, but we still do acknowledge that Stella can do quite a bit of damage on her own in a pinch. Following her is arguably the most bloodthirsty member of Imp, Millie. While not impossible to beat, it would be very unwise starting a fight with Millie. Able to wield melee weapons such as axes that are twice her size, Millie is athletic, strong, fast, and is extremely good at getting in kill shots. She can take on multiple armed humans, killing them all in several seconds, and even snapping the neck of one using her thighs, and we've even seen her fight and kill a giant sea monster. Her teeth certainly aren't anything to mess with either, and while she prefers knives or other sharp weapons, she's still able to effectively use guns. Really, what keeps her out of the very top is her glass cannon status. Basically, while Millie's practically unstoppable when on the offense, she isn't the best at taking a hit. Both Martha's husband and Stryker are able to briefly incapacitate her despite Millie's prowess and ability to still get a few good hits in, with the simple bear trap keeping Millie out of the final fight of the latter episode. It really is a shame that for as awesome of a powerhouse as Millie is, her defense and durability could certainly use some work. Since the guy he's based off of hasn't been shown in an actual fight yet, we're going to be ranking RoboFizz next. Taking on the persona of the famous Fizzaroli, RoboFizz has his own talents and strengths thanks to being entirely robotic instead of only having robot limbs. In his fight with Blitz, he's shown to be extremely flexible, almost like a rubber hose cartoon. He can also turn his head at a 90-degree angle with ease, with this combined with robotic reflexes allowing him to catch bullets with his teeth. His most dangerous ability, however, is his cartwheel ability, being so fast that he can destroy anything in his path, much like a certain hedgehog's spin dash. Add in the fact that his robotic nature makes him pretty durable, being able to withstand fire and bombs without getting completely obliterated, continuing to fight even while just in his exoskin. Not even the real Fizzaroli can do that, at least as far as we know. Managing to land just outside the podium of power, we have Stryker. Outside of another imp who we'll get to in a bit, Stryker is an assassin extraordinaire and is probably one of the best in hell. He's physically fit, able to be agile and sly while still having enough muscle on him to properly pin down enemies. He nearly kills Moxie with only his bare hands, trying to suffocate him after the imp learns about his secret job.
Pathetic.
And even after taking several stab wounds, Stryker is still able to get the upper hand over Millie in their fight. As for Blitz, the two are about even when it comes to physical fights, with Stryker certainly having better manipulation skills as well as some pretty handy escape skills. We can also be certain that he's got pretty good aim, given that he's a hired gun and all. Overall, Stryker easily makes for one of the most powerful characters in Helluva Boss. But while he has no major weaknesses, there are still a few characters who outrank this snake demon. Getting the bronze medal of power is Imp's hellhound, Luna. Simply put, Luna has all the advantages of being an anthropomorphic wolf creature. She's extremely strong, fast, agile, and fierce, being armed with her own claws and razor-sharp teeth as her main weapons. She can toss around both imps and demons like they're nothing, and it's extremely rare for her to be outmatched or overpowered. Luna, surprisingly enough, also has quite a few stealth abilities, such as her transformation power that allows her to go undercover as a human, and her tracking abilities, which come in handy when she has to help figure out where Octavia is.
Your Instagram. Nice picks, by the way.
Additionally, like with Millie, she knows how to use guns well, even if they aren't her weapon of choice. Honestly, her only real weakness is that she's still young, meaning she can be pretty emotionally volatile, which can hamper her abilities at times. For our silver medal of power, we have Prince Stolas. He may look like just another rich boy who doesn't know how to fight and thus has to rely on guards to protect him, but there's a reason the Goetia family is one of such high status. What he may lack in physical abilities, Stolas more than makes up for in magical and demonic abilities. Using his grimoire, he's able to access different spells and even open portals to the human world, and although he's a bit weaker without it, Stolas is still able to do basic spells such as disguising himself as a human, turning demons to stone with just a look, or possibly his freakiest power, possessing the bodies of humans so that they can summon him, like we see him do with Dork's agents.
Of the demon-obsessed lunatics.
He's also able to go full demonic owl when he's truly angry, and we can only imagine what damage he's able to do in this form. Between his status and his otherworldly abilities, as well as the fact that he's impervious to most things, meaning that assassins need a special type of bullet in order to kill him, Stolas easily outranks most of the Helluva boss cast, keyword being most. Finally, our gold medal of power is going to Blitz. It may seem a bit silly to put Blitz above someone as high-ranking and mystical as Stolas, but we truly feel that his killing abilities allow him to take our top spot here. After all, Stolas relies on his magic to defend himself and would likely be in a ton of trouble if he didn't have those powers or extra forms. But Blitz can pretty much use anything as a weapon if he tries hard enough. From melee weapons to guns to his own hands, if he can figure out a way to kill someone, he'll do it. So, safe to say, his abilities outrank both Moxie's and Millie's. He can also be stealthy when he wants to be and knows how to think on his feet even if he sometimes makes dumb choices. Furthermore, Blitz just has the most experience when it comes to fighting. He's the one we've seen in combat the most, and while others may have him on the ropes sometimes, Blitz always finds a way to come out on top. He's the only imp in hell who's managed to form his own assassin business, managing to figure out how to rise above his lowly status, and it's really not hard to see how he's able to do this. But let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Weak to Powerful playlist, where we break down who the most powerful characters are in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.